Welcome to part 5 and why I stopped making videos for over a year. Where we last left off, I was at the emergency room. They had taken my vitals and I had a high heart rate, high blood pressure, and high temperature. I was also throwing up. All of that was very consistent with the pain I was experiencing and also a sign of infection. So I did get called back to a room. They took some blood work. They actually got in contact with my OBGYN since they knew I had a procedure done a few weeks prior and what it was for. And my blood work came back, and I did. I had a really bad infection. I also had a very low hemoglobin, meaning I had lost a ton of blood, so my blood level was very dangerously low. So at that point, they decided to admit me into the hospital. They were doing some other testing too, just to make sure nothing else was going on. They also had to do a pelvic exam, and eventually I was moved up to an actual room, and I was getting blood taken, I feel like every 30 minutes, but they started me on 3 different antibiotics for my infection, and they were putting in for blood transfusions the next day. So I was in the hospital a total of 4 days. I did end up getting 2 blood transfusions, and I finished all of my IV antibiotics, but they kept having to take blood from me before I left because the infection was so severe. I was starting to go into septic shock, but it did not affect any of my other organs, luckily. I went into the hospital at the right moment, at the right time, so thankfully everything was caught in time before it affected any other organs in my body. So because of how bad the infection was, I did have to go home on oral antibiotics, and I also had to take some iron supplements as well because my hemoglobin was still very low, but enough that it wasn't dangerously low anymore. So I was very weak when I left the hospital, and I just had to take it easy for a couple of weeks after that. My OBGYN and the doctors in the hospital, they're still not quite sure where the infection started from, if it was from the procedure I had or the pregnancy loss, or if it was just something that happened. But luckily, it was caught in time before it affected anything else, and I'm okay from that. So this is where I'm going to stop right here, and I will continue to part 6. I will upload that video rather quickly, so thank you again for listening and watching my video.